every decision isn't equally as important. The clear path filters where you're going. You're no longer asking, am I doing enough? Am I on the right path? You're actually asking, did I move forward? Did I take one more step towards the future that I want to be? Did I take another step towards the person I want to become? Did I take another step towards helping the people I want to help and living the life that I want to live? Do you have a service or provider that you recommend to people all the time because they have done such a great job helping you grow your therapy practice? Send me their name or email so that I can see if they would like to be part of the Scaling Therapist Services directory. It's a new directory I'm putting together to create a shortcut for therapists when they want to grow and scale. Can they find other services that real therapists like them have used to grow their business? Let's collect all those in one place and make it easier to grow for everyone. Send your recommendations to james@coursecreationstudio.com and I will reach out to them. Thank you for being a networker and helping therapists just like you grow their business with services that you have used and would recommend again. Most therapists, coaches, and people in the people-serving, people-helping business don't struggle because they lack discipline. They struggle because they feel just overly busy, overly committed, and they have to keep serving because they are 1 month away or 2 months away from burnout and collapse. They're not doing a little, they're actually doing a lot. They're thinking a lot about what their next step is. They're trying to make good decisions, but they say things like, I'm working hard, but it just sure isn't adding up. This is taking way longer than I thought it would. Or I'm doing all the right things, but I still feel scattered. I don't know if I'm doing the right things well enough. Or they're saying, man, I'm just so afraid of choosing the wrong thing and wasting my time. I'm going to continue doing what I've always done, the safe thing, and then I'll be okay. But the safe thing doesn't get them to where they want to go. And these feelings are not a person problem. They're not a motivation problem. They're not a character flaw. It's really a direction problem because you're moving, but you don't have a clear path to measure where you're going. And when there's no path to follow, then there's no confidence. If you don't know the direction that you're heading, if you don't know your goals, and you don't know if the work you're doing, the work you're putting in is going to get you to those goals, you are not going to be confident. So most people in this service field, the helping field, they don't struggle because they're lazy. They are often very committed to the work and the people that they serve. But no, they struggle because they're working hard and it's not taking them where they thought it would go. They're just not confident in taking risks. Have you ever told yourself, I'm working hard now, so I don't have to work as hard later? You're putting in the time, you're putting in the reps, and you're just hoping that this work will pay off. Well, I was struck by this idea as I'm reading the book Time is a Tool by Benjamin Hardy. It's on Audible right now. And the author shares a story about a woman who broke down after sharing her rationale for working hard. And she did it in an offhanded conversation, a phone call, and it just struck her. And she said something like this: I work 60 to 70 hours a week, so I don't have to work this hard in the future. And then it hit her. She had been saying the same thing for 20 years. And one day when she heard herself say it out loud, she just realized she's still working just as hard 20 years later. And she was no closer to the future she thought she was building towards. There was nothing wrong with her effort. There was nothing wrong with her discipline. In fact, she was probably really disciplined and really committed to her why and the people that she was serving. But the path she was on did not produce the results she thought it would. And that's the part that matters because I see it and you see it. A lot of therapists, a lot of people coaching in the helping field, they care deeply. They're doing the work. They're putting in the time. They show up. They pay their dues and they hope. They hope. They hope that if they just work hard enough, if they just see enough clients, if they just put off some of the joys of life long enough and they put in their time, then they're going to be rewarded. That doesn't really build confidence because they're quietly wondering why all that effort doesn't seem to be adding up to the life that they thought they wanted. It doesn't add up to the freedom that they wanted. It doesn't add up to the time with their kids that they wanted, the vacations that they wanted, the joy in serving the right people that they wanted. That's not a work problem. That's not a motivation problem. It's a path problem. If we haven't met, my name's James Marland. I work with therapists and other helping professions, and I want to help them grow their impact and income without losing who they are, their integrity, their energy, and the joy they have for serving the people that they love. This is the show where I share solutions and introduce experts to you that help you solve real growth problems. We're going to talk about those bottlenecks and give you solutions. We're in the tail end of a series on solving the scalable income problem, and that's the 3 pillars of scalable income. This episode is a part of a larger series of the 3 pillars, and we're going to help you scale. What do I mean by scalable income? Scalable income is normally the people that's doing the coaching, the therapist, they're doing the work one-on-one. They're carrying all the buckets. If your session is compared to a bucket, and you have to carry that and give it to people one by one bucket at a time, one bucket at a time. What I'm trying to teach you with the Scalable Income series is how to design a system where you're the architect, where you build it once, and then you can set the system in motion, maintain it, and continue to help people with the waters of wisdom. So the first pillar was clarity, and clarity is about why and what you're building. Without it, you could do a lot of work without clarity. You can do a lot of work in the wrong direction if you don't have the clarity. So the second pillar is connection. Connection is about the people and your experience and how you show up and how people can find you. Today, we're going to talk about the third pillar, which is confidence. Last week, we talked about the first part, which was proof. Yeah, we talked about proof, the proof to share, the proof to show other people for yourself and for your future customers. And the more proof you have, the more confident you are, you're going in the right direction. But we often don't look for it because we're afraid of what people might say, so we don't ask for feedback. It's a whole cycle. You can learn about it in episode 147. So we collect real evidence and we use it for ourselves and in our marketing. Today, we're going to build on that proof and help you stay steady, help you stay confident. We're going to talk about the path that you're on and how that helps you. Now, it might surprise you to learn that you might be listening to this episode thinking you don't have a path, you don't have a right path, but most therapists don't lack options. They actually have too many good enough options. If they want to earn extra income, you could do teaching, you could do supervision. If you're a solo practitioner, you could open a group practice. You could do public speaking. You can make courses. You could do workshops. You could do supervision. You could do CE. You could write a book. Consulting, coaching. None of them are bad options. They're actually pretty good options, but that's the problem. When you have 10 or 15 good enough options and you start reacting, you start building them from what you can do today, like small goals, instead of starting for where you want to end up. So the best options get ignored because there's easier, good enough options that are close by. And that's what we're going to address today. The core idea is a clear path. We want to get you on a clear path. A clear path simplifies your decisions. A simple path doesn't mean you're doing less, though. It doesn't mean it's easy. Means you're removing decisions. When a path has many branching decisions, you have to take time to consider where you're going. And sometimes you might go down the wrong path for a while because it might seem like it's the easy path or it's the clear path, even though you're it might not be the destination you want to end up with at. It's good enough. When the path is unclear, every opportunity feels equally important. But when the path is clear, your next step becomes obvious. And obvious steps don't drain confidence. It's like having GPS that's guiding you. The people often ask me, "What road did you take to get here?" And I'm like, "I don't know. I followed the blue line on my GPS. I'm confident in it that it's telling me the right direction." When the path is clear, your next step becomes obvious. And obvious steps don't drain confidence. So how do you get to this clear, obvious path? Well, some people might say you start small. You start where you're at and make small steps. That is an approach, but it doesn't do enough to motivate you to simplify the path. So how do you do that? You start thinking about the one big goal that you need to commit to. It's different from the advice that says start small, be realistic, and build from there. That doesn't eliminate too many good enough paths. That still leaves too many paths open. It still makes you decide at every moment, am I going the right way? What matters every day? Where should I be spending my time on? How do I evaluate what's important? That's exhausting. That is not confident. Small goals ask, what can I do right now? Big goals, scary goals, goals that you're not exactly sure how to do, ask you, what am I building towards? And these big goals force choices. They force learning. They force growth. They force you to do something different. They don't just change your to-do list. They change how you see every activity. They filter things out. These big goals, if you have a big goal, it filters out things that you should not be doing. To get the most out of your goals, then you have to start with the filter goal, the big goal, and work backwards. It seems obvious when you're reading the book, Time is a Tool, and when you're talking about start with the end in mind, it's a well-tread topic, but a lot of us miss it. A lot of us miss it because we start with our to-do list. What's our to-do list today? It's the email. It's getting somebody else's project done, but we don't work on our own goals, our own things. We miss it. So start by choosing the big goal, the filter goal, the goal that's going to scare you a little bit, that you don't know how to accomplish it. It's the difference between saying, I'm going to make $100,000 this year and I'm going to make $1 million this year. Or I'm going to write 10 blogs, or one blog a month. I'll write 12 blogs, or 48 blogs if you write one a week. Or I'm going to write a bestseller book. Different goals. One is very doable. Like, you can definitely write 4 blogs a month. But to write a bestseller book, or to write a book to be published, or to write a book that you can use for, marketing or selling or promoting yourself, that is a totally entirely different goal that you might not know how to do. And so it starts to filter what you are doing. It starts to filter your behavior. Everything else, every other decision becomes a servant. It becomes subservient to that one filter goal. If you want to, I'll go back to the losing weight goal. It's just easy for people to understand. But if you want to lose 50 pounds in a year, that means you have to, sleeping in and not going to the gym is not on the table. It means staying up late and being exhausted so you can't get up is not on the table. It means drinking a bunch of soda or eating pizza every meal is not on the table. It means when you go to the grocery store, you buy, some health food snacks, more vegetables, some salads, for goodness sakes. It filters your decisions. So even your grocery list becomes servant to that weight loss goal. Your sleep schedule becomes servant to that weight loss goal. It's similar in business. If you want to grow group practice, you have to do things that put you in the position to grow your group practice. And working, 80 hours a week, individual sessions, and not spending any time hiring people, writing policies, doing training, any of that stuff, that is not going to cut it anymore. Doing all your social media, if you want to grow a group practice, doing all your own social media, that's just not going to cut it anymore. Your goal filters your behavior. There's often one goal that matters most. That one goal, if move forward and you progress on it, will quietly make all the other problems easier. In fact, you might not even have to solve the other problems, because just the very fact of achieving this goal will solve some of your freedom problems, your money problems, your time problems, your staffing problems. So you choose your future first. Instead of choosing a realistic goal, choose a goal that your future self will thank you for. Everything else just becomes a servant to that goal. Now, you still have smaller goals. You're like, James, what are SMART goals? And what about some other goals? Well, you still have them, but they're like gaps. Like, here's my end goal. Here's where I am. Working backward, how do I get to the beginning? And then you start accomplishing those goals. Your future determines how you behave. They went into this in the book. A lot of us are controlled by our past. I've told this story before, that I don't like being up front. I don't like being the center of attention, because in the past, being the center of attention meant the possibility of failure, or people to laugh at me, or to people to insult me. Having attention at home when I was younger often meant that you might get yelled at or punished, even when you're not sure why you were getting yelled at or punished. I learned, my past told me to be quiet. My past told me, no, don't make noise, don't make waves, don't put yourself out there. And so I let my present be controlled by my past instead of my future goals. If you're a therapist, you probably understand this more than what I'm saying right here, but that's covered in the Time is a Tool book. Eliminate the choices by having a big goal, by having that one main future goal, that everything else becomes beholden to that goal, and you filter everything else out. Once that filter goal is clear, some good options become irrelevant. Not because they're bad, but because they just don't belong. That's not a loss. That's relief. That's confidence. I want you to know, if you filter your behavior based on your goal, you will have confidence. You will be steady. This is where your confidence stops being dependent on what's going on day to day, but it starts becoming where you're headed, where your future is. It becomes structure. It becomes a path. It helps you simplify your decisions. The decisions don't feel as personal. They don't feel as heavy. Every decision isn't equally as important. The clear path filters where you're going. You're no longer asking, am I doing enough? Am I on the right path? You're actually asking, did I move forward? Did I take one more step towards the future that I want to be? Did I take another step towards the person I want to become? Did I take another step towards helping the people I want to help and living the life that I want to live? This question isn't loud. It's just steady. It's answerable. It's achievable. You are no longer victim to outside influences. You can choose your behavior on what to do. You trust in your path. You trust in the direction. You are not overly concerned about minute-to-minute outcomes. You're trusting that you are building a better place for your future and your future self. Here's what I want you to do. Maybe you have this big goal written out, maybe you don't, but I want you to spend a few minutes, maybe 10 minutes this week. Sit down in a quiet place and write a letter to your future self. There's a free tool at futureme.org that lets you write an email to yourself and have it delivered 3, 6, or 12 months later. So this is what you do. Write yourself a letter for 1 year from now and answer these questions as honestly as you can. You're writing to yourself, so you can be brutally honest. Answer, what is the big goal that if I committed to it, if I went pro, would simplify most of my decisions right now? It's not the goal that sounds the most impressive. It's the one that would act as a filter. That one that would make some good options no longer important. Then write about what that future version of you learned in the last 12 months because of the path you committed to. What did you stop doing? What did you say no to? What did you focus on instead? How do you feel with this clarity? What is your life like now? I want to talk to the therapist here who might be struggling. I want to say you don't need more motivation. I don't think you need to care more. You probably already have buckets and buckets of caring. You don't need to work harder. You don't need to grind it out. You don't need to have that future. Someday, I hope I can stop working 60 hours. You just need a clear path. Because when the path is right, the next step is not as heavy. It feels more obvious. You can achieve your goals. You can become that future self one step at a time. Next time, we'll talk about the final part of confidence. This is the people to support your success and why doing hard things is much easier when you have a group of supporting people. If you made it this far, I also recommend going to Hero on a Mission. There's a webpage, I think it's heroonamission.com, and signing up for their free daily goal setting app. It's well worth your time. It actually works you through the process of writing your own eulogy and then writing out some goals and some vision statements and then a daily journal. It's what I use, and I return to it several times a week to keep me on track. I have a PDF version that I made that's based off that content. So if you don't want to use the app, you can download the PDF version. I'll put that on in the download section, CourseCreationStudio.com. It's the one I use for myself for many years until they made the app version free. It used to be like $7.99 a month or something, and now it is free. So now I have a daily journal that keeps my goals and my vision statements and my eulogy all together. So, hey, thank you so much for listening. Please rate and review the show. I truly appreciate your support, and it helps me help more people. It's now time to do something your future self will thank you for and put your mission in motion. We will see you next time.